A warm welcome to Aviation this week on Channels Television. I'm Bukola Joe Ketumbi, and we're reaching you from the departure hall of the Terminal 2 of the Muritala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. And this week, we're discussing passenger rage. Flight delays and cancellation in domestic and international travel appears to be fueling an increase in irate passengers attacking airline staff. Just recently, Max Air staff were attacked by angry passengers over a long delay at the Abuja International Airport. And our flight takes to the skies. Air travel can be hard work, whether it's navigating super long passenger lines, losing an assigned seat and ending up jammed in the middle of the row, or finding yourself on a plane grounded on the runway, or even delayed and cancelled flights. In these stress-inducing scenarios, most travelers might get on their phones and get lost in the movie. For others, the pressure gets too much. The scales tip over into the wrong direction and a perfect storm is created. And this unfortunate phenomenon is known as passenger rage. Here in Nigeria, a recent scenario played out at the Abuja airport where staff members of Max Air were attacked by passengers whose flight was delayed. While there are many reasons for incessant delays, some passengers say they do not believe in violence.
I definitely don't think there's any reason why that should ever happen. I'm extremely anti-violence. I think that the air staff have a lot to do in terms of making sure the plane leaves on time, making sure all the passengers are on the plane. I don't think that there's any reason for you to get violent against them. It's completely out of character for anybody, especially any well-serving Nigeria. The airline itself can do. The staff aren't in the management position. They're not the ones who are running the operations. They're just doing customer service or the more finicky part of it. I don't think that you should have any reason to verbally abuse them. They don't own the airport. They're just workers there.
I don't support that, but I also understand the problems that passengers face when someone has made an appointment to be somewhere at a particular time, and then you get to the airport and they cancel it or they delay you and all that. I think that the airline should actually know how to manage the passengers better and also to inform the passengers if there's going to be any cancellation. Because I also believe that some of the problems may not actually be from the airline, it may be from the airports, the people handling passengers, taking passengers out and luggages and all that.
While other passengers ask airlines to live up to their billing.
The personnel of any airline, but the challenge that you're having with most of the airlines in Nigeria, when you know you are going to delay the flights, communicate to the passengers early enough. For example, I'm going to Uyo, the flight is supposed to be 1:45. 1 hour to departure, you must be at the airport. We are here now, less than 30 minutes. Nobody's communicating to us. 1:30, and you are still in Lagos by now. Anything can happen. Since they are not communicating, they are just taking us for a ride. The regulators are not doing their job. What you are doing is what the regulators are supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be moving around all the airline and be able to ask questions. If passengers are complaining, they must resolve it. But the regulators are not doing their job.
If my flight is being delayed for maybe I wanted to catch up with a job or something else and it's been delayed, I'll probably ask for a refund because at the end of the day, I can't do anything. I can't command the plane to come for me to move. For airlines operator, their compensation, I think they should kind of have like a structure that looks into why are these flights being delayed.
Following this incident, the Airline Operators of Nigeria, in a press statement issued by its president, Abdulmunaf Sarina, the body expressed worry over rising threats to the lives of airline staff and their properties at Nigerian airports. The AON president, however, said issues of delay or cancellation can be addressed in a civil manner without resorting to violence. The statement also reads that the unruly passengers that went after Max Air and destroyed the computer reservation systems further exacerbated the problem for other passengers going to other destinations. While these submissions are germane, what exactly can the airlines do about excessive delays? In other climes like the United States, the unfortunate scenario where cabin crew and other staff come under attack from passengers in the cabin is called air rage. The United States alone accounted for 5,981 cases of air rage, with the Federal Aviation Administration FAA stating that 72% of this figure was mask-related incidents.
All times while in the airport. The air
The International Air Transport Association has been collecting data on disruptive passenger behavior since 2007. The latest available data from 2017 indicated an average of one incident for every 1,053 flights. In 2016, IATA reported one incident for every 1,434 flights. In 2017, 81 global airlines submitted data for over 900,000 flights. IATA ranks each unruly behavior incident on 4 levels: minor, moderate, serious, and finally, flight deck breach. On our interview segment, the General Manager Public Affairs of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, who is the industry regulator, is our guest. And he insists that no matter the level of delay, no passenger should resort to violence.
This issue happen is on account of delay. Now, if you have a delay, should you not take to crime? It shouldn't be. So pure criminality, because there are delays all over the world. I'm not justifying it. I'm not making a case. I'm not speaking for the airline. But when you have a delay anywhere in the world, do you see passengers going to fight? Do you see them destroy things? That's criminality, which straight away becomes a police affair. Well, first and foremost, we exist for the safety of that plane that carry passengers. First and foremost. Any other things we are talking about now, we are talking about passengers, comfort, value for money, secondary, but it's key also. But the main thing is that plane that carries people from one point to the other, is it safe? Is it airworthy? The people flying it, are they current? Are they qualified? Should they even be inside their machine? The environment, is it okay for safe operations? These are basically the mandate we have. Now, having achieved that, but of course it has to be continuing. Then, of course, we begin to talk of passenger comfort, value for money, which I say is secondary, and it remains secondary. Now, everybody just needs to know their role and do what they need to do. You run a service to offer you market your product, which is to fly you one point to the other, and the passenger acquire the ticket. It's your responsibility to take them from one point to the other. In event of any other issues, some delays are necessary, which we even support on account of maybe weather or technicality. If you have an issue with your machine, you can't go because you have to be allowed to fly anyway to do that business. We will support them on that. But what needed to be done now is that if you are going to have a delay, come back to the passengers and explain to them. The process is clear. If the delay is getting longer, suspend the operation, cancel that flight, or merge it with another flight. But you must always carry along the passengers, which are the key thing. That's why you exist. And if you are not afraid of losing them, then of course you end up losing all. Now, as for passengers, that you suffer a delay does not give you a right to fight or to engage in destructive acts. That's unruly behavior. It becomes a crime, and it becomes a police affair. Police are the right agent to take over from there, arrest whoever is getting, that's breakdown law and order if you're allowed to be continuing. Then, of course, take over and arrest whoever needs to be arrested and prosecute them. So you have court inside the airport. We have all the security apparatus within the airport. You have the Nigerian Police Force, you have the Nigerian Air Force, you have the Civil Defense, all other agencies, custom and other, depending on the terminal. So they are there to do their job.
But what does your
Those rules as CA to set up consumer protections just as a way of helping our customer, the passengers, to solve their problem without necessarily have to take a recourse in going to court, because the court is the ultimate. If there's a breach, the place to go is court, you seek redress there. But the CA felt, no, let's help our customers, save them the cost of going to court, the time, the expenses and all the rest to get justice all over the world. So that's how we come about consumer protection. Now, if there is a delay, yes, the rules are clear, what compensatory measures are available. You have it on domestic flight, you have it on international, it differs. So if you are suspending flight, once you check a passenger on an international flight, become your responsibility as an airline. You're going to put them in a hotel if you are not going to go again. There are compensations, 2 hour, certain level of compensation. A little delay, even apology is a compensation. Offering of snacks, drink, refreshment is compensation. Approaching the passenger and appealing to them maybe to take a second flight and all the rest, all these it's going to cost you because you don't budget for it initially. So all these measures are available. So a flight or delay, before we even go into discussion and imposing sanction, you're going to engage that person in what led to that. And once you can satisfactorily put the papers on ground, what happened? You may not have a reason to sanction because of what would have led to it. But however, that does not excuse the airline not coming to attend to the passengers. Same fate. And who need to do this, arrest this? Security need to, that's why they are there. Law should not be allowed to be broken. They should be taken care of and at least get a deterrent, to serve as a deterrent to others.
The Victor Tai International Airport in Uyodi, Akwa Ibom State capital, under construction, is to cater for 1 million passengers a year, with a seating capacity for 1,000 persons, and is designed after Istanbul's latest airport terminal in Turkey. A lot of thought and planning has gone into this project, which is expected to be the smartest terminal building in Africa when completed.
This will still maintain the smartest terminal building as of today in Africa. I don't know what other countries will do tomorrow. But I think what people should look at in Akwa Ibom is not just the buildings, it's not just the infrastructure that we put in. The question is, how can a subnational take on this level of responsibility?
Work is ongoing at the facility. In focus is the maintenance, repair and overhaul facility, terminal building and taxiway, which have crossed the 80% completion mark, and going by the projections of the state government, will be commissioned this year. The maintenance facility has the capacity to hold two 747, 8 A220-300 and all Bombardier CRJ series.
You can't find this anywhere in Africa. You can take two 747-800 series, you can take 8 of our A220-300 series, you can take all our CRJs for now. So you can imagine, and I'm sure you've walked around us, all installations are near completion right now. And you can imagine we're the newest bride for all the aircraft maintenance companies across the globe. As of today, we've gotten offers from so many of these aircraft maintenance companies. And you can imagine how this will end foreign exchange to the state. It's better imagined at this time for now. When we experience it, will be a different story.
Major structural works have been completed on the international terminal building and will soon be furnished with the required fitting for smart operations. Meanwhile, the first phase of the 3.6-kilometer taxiway is at 100% completion, while the second phase is at 80%. This part of the airport will aid regional flights of Ibom Air.
When Aviation this week returns, flight operations resume at the Terminal 2 of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. That's on Newsflash. Do join us again. Operations have begun at the Terminal 2 of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos, with Airpeace operating out of the terminal. A few passengers flying to the West Coast were seen in the terminal waiting for check-in and boarding announcements. The Accident Investigation Bureau has released 4 preliminary reports on serious incidents and accidents involving aircraft owned and operated by United Nigeria Airlines Limited, Max Air, Air Peace, and the Nigerian Police Air Wing. The preliminary reports include the report on the serious incident involving the United Nigeria Airlines Embraer 145LR aircraft with nationality and registration marks 5NBWW, which was climbing out of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, when a serious incident occurred at about 4,000 feet on 17 November 2021. Another preliminary report was the serious incident involving Max Air Boeing 737-300 aircraft, which was parked at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, with nationality and registration marks 5NDAB and was involved in an on-ground collision with Skyway Aviation Handling Company Laboratory Service truck with fleet number 9/5 on 21st November 2021, among others. With the reports already on its website, AIB said the preliminary reports were not the final reports, that these only contained details of the initial facts, discussions, and findings surrounding the occurrences. More than 100 off-duty Delta Airlines pilots silently marched in small groups outside Seattle-Tacoma International Airport in Seattle, Washington, to protest against the airline staffing and scheduling practices. Chairman of Delta Pilots Master Executive Council of the Airline Pilots Association International. The picket comes after the airline reported a huge spike in travel demand last week. Passing motorists honked their horns in support of the pilots as they entered and exited the airport, situated 14 miles from Seattle city center.
We're out here to visibly take our message to Delta management that they need to address our fatiguing and poor quality schedules. We would like to engage them on common sense solutions to improve the lives of our members. Well, what's happening is Delta has all the planes they had from the pre-pandemic, however, they don't have the same amount of pilots as they had. So they're bringing back flying at a rate that exceeds the amount of pilots we currently have. So our pilots are being expected to pick up record amounts of overtime flying on their off days to fly the current schedule. And that allows that there's no buffer in the system. It's fine on a sunny day when there's no weather, but if there's operational issues, that's a problem. We need Delta to engage us on common sense solutions to address these issues.
Delta Airlines responded in a written statement regarding their pilots picketing efforts now in its 5th city of 6 planned events across the United States. This informational exercise by some of our off-duty pilots did not disrupt our operations for our customers. We continuously evaluate our staffing models and plan ahead so that we can recover quickly when unforeseen circumstances arise, and the resilience of the Delta people is unmatched in that regard. Pilot schedules remain in line with all requirements set by the FAA, as well as those outlined in our pilot contract. All of our people, including our pilots, are working hard to restore our airline and deliver for our customers as we emerge from the pandemic. We're grateful for and proud of their efforts. The Biden administration will no longer enforce a U.S. mask mandate on public transportation after a federal judge in Florida ruled that the 14-month-old directive was unlawful, overturning a key White House effort to reduce the spread of COVID-19. Soon after the announcement, all major carriers, including American Airlines, United Airlines, and Delta Airlines, as well as National Train Line Amtrak, relaxed the restrictions effective immediately. Last week, U.S. health officials had extended the mandate to May 3rd, requiring travelers to wear masks on airplanes, trains, and in taxis, rideshare vehicles, or transit hubs, saying they needed time to assess the impact of a recent rise in COVID-19 cases caused by the airborne coronavirus. Industry groups and Republican lawmakers balked and wanted the administration to end the 14-month-old mask mandate permanently.
Very quickly after. There we go. You're seeing the drones deploy now.
The first all-private astronaut team ever flown aboard the International Space Station ISS safely splashed down in the Atlantic Ocean off Florida's coast on Monday, April 25th, completing a 2-week science mission hailed as a milestone in commercial spaceflight.
On behalf of the entire SpaceX team, welcome back to planet Earth.
The SpaceX Crew capsule carrying the 4-man team, led by a retired NASA astronaut who is now vice president of the Texas company behind the mission, Axiom Space, parachuted into the sea after a 16-hour descent from orbit. The splashdown, carried live by a joint Axiom SpaceX webcast, was originally planned for last Wednesday, but the return flight was delayed due to unfavorable weather. The return from orbit followed a plunge through Earth's atmosphere, generating frictional heat that sends temperatures surrounding the outside of the capsule soaring to 1,927 degrees Celsius. The astronauts' flight suits are designed to keep them cool as the cabin heats up.
Crew AX-1 separating from the International Space Station, concluding their 15 days aboard the orbiting laboratory.
Applause was heard from the SpaceX Flight Control Center in suburban Los Angeles as parachutes billowed open above the capsule in the final stage of its descent, slowing its fall to about 24 kilometers per hour, and again as the craft hit the water off the coast of Jacksonville. A small recovery boat with a 3-member team reached the Crew Dragon minutes later to secure the visibly heat-scorched craft as it bobbed upright in the ocean. The capsule was hoisted from the sea onto the deck of a larger recovery vessel about 40 minutes later, and the hatch was opened to let the astronauts emerge. A camera shot from inside the capsule showed the 4 crew members strapped into their seats, garbed in their helmeted white and black spacesuits. The mission's crew was assembled, equipped and trained entirely at private expense by Axiom, a 5-year-old venture based in Houston and headed by NASA's former ISS program manager. The U.S. Space Agency furnished the launch site at its Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida, and assumed responsibility for the Axiom crew while they were aboard the space station. NASA's ISS crew members also pitched in to assist the private astronauts when needed. The multinational Axiom team was led by Spanish-born retired NASA astronaut Michael Lopez Alegria, 63 years of age, the company's vice president for business development. His second-in-command was Larry Connor, 72 years of age, a technology entrepreneur and aerobatics aviator from Ohio, designated the mission pilot. Joining them as mission specialists were investor philanthropists and former Israeli fighter pilot Eitan Stib, 64 years of age, and Canadian businessman and philanthropist Mark Pathy, 52 years of age. Connor, Stib, and Pathy flew as customers of Axiom, which charges $50 million to $60 million per seat for such flights. Launched on April 8th, they spent 15 days aboard the space station with the 7 regular government-paid ISS crew members, 3 American astronauts, a German astronaut, and 3 Russian cosmonauts. SpaceX, the private launch service founded by Tesla electric car maker CEO Elon Musk, supplied the Falcon 9 rocket and Crew Dragon capsule that carried Axiom's team to and from orbit, controlled the flight, and handled the splashdown recovery. SpaceX has been hired to fly 3 more Axiom astronaut missions to ISS over the next 2 years.
Sounds good. Talk to you later.
This is where we call it a day on the program. Thank you so much for staying with us. I'm Bukola Joe Okitunbi. See you next week.